Once you get past the point of realizing that the fast food that you're putting in your body is making you sluggish and tired, and you're wondering why it's so easy for you to clock into your 9 to 5, come home, eat some fast food, get on your phone, watch TikTok, and fall asleep. You have no time for hobbies, no time for friends, no time for community. It's all because like of what you're feeding your body physically, mentally, spiritually, right? Reading The Temple of My Familiar by Alice Walker. And I want to read this page, or these 2 pages. Beautiful storms, I might add, just deadly. Then for many years, they couldn't afford to buy seeds or animals, and being on the island didn't help because very little things had to be brought over on 1 or 2 small, flimsy boats, and it was about a 10-hour trip. The plantation overseer would pull up any vegetable grown in their yards that looked like anything planted in the field, and you could lose your house because nobody owned their houses. But this little woman, she was a white woman, and she had a black woman helping her. She started to agitate on the mainland about the condition of the island children. And pretty soon, whole big boatloads of white people came to look us over. It was the first time I'd seen so many. They were in many different shapes and sizes, and very healthy from having eaten our food all their lives. I didn't know this then, of course, how they had sound teeth because mine were rotted, how they could afford glasses to help them see, while my friend Eddie couldn't see beyond his nose and would never learn to read, how they, well, you get the picture. They all had a distinct quality of being apart from real life. It was like they were on the other side of a glass and we were on one. And we could have no real impact on what happened on their side, the side of the unknown. But they could have a great deal of impact on us. And I felt that was because we were where life was. For even in our frailty, we laughed. So much was funny to us. They could not laugh freely. Their faces were like fists. When they almost touched you, they grew confused and looked out to see what others in the group did. We gathered in clumps, digging our bare toes into the sand, and looked at them as if they were a zoo. Only one man, short, fat, and disheveled, had come to be alive with or without us. He headed for the beach out in the front of the school and took off most of his clothes, never looking at us. He took out a jar of liquid soap and started blowing bubbles. Pretty soon, we were all out there with him, chasing the bubbles and watching them float out into the bay. There was, at the time, a big to-do about giving us cod liver oil because somebody noticed that me falling asleep was the least of it. Many of the children had legs that looked like pretzels. We had people on that island with legs so bold they made people with straight legs look deformed. That's when we needed cod liver to prevent something called rickets. It was funny too, because by then, on the island, bow legs and women were considered sexy. And you actually had people grumbling about how straight-legged women didn't do a thing for them, meaning sexually. My mother actually had the nerve to try to tell me I didn't have to take the stuff if I didn't want to. But I remembered sick and deformed children from hundreds of years before, and I was disgusted that this should still happen. But I did demand that the cod liver oil be given to us in orange juice, because once the parents were asked if the children should take it straight or with orange juice, they got into a debate over it and tried to make it a moral issue. Their children weren't sissies. By God and his grandmother, their children could take anything dished out to them like a man. Can you believe that shit? It really made you wonder about the general thoughtfulness of the divine universal plan. Well, I wasn't a man, never had been one. Unless I had orange juice, I said, I wouldn't take the cod liver oil. If I didn't take the cod liver oil, nobody else in the school would either. Everybody knew this to be the unvarnished truth. And besides, the cod liver oil taken straight tasted like shit. There are a few things more confusing to people than the process of regaining or attaining health. It is one of the great mysteries. And when I think of my dear mother as her mind began to clear, for she too was gradually induced into reinstating the kitchen garden, getting a few chickens for the eggs, and eschewing the syrup-sweet coffee she loved. Even now, long after her old head is cold, I have to laugh. She started, for the first time since she was a girl, to remember her dreams. And it was that first morning after she had so many dead nights and one live one, as if she'd seen a ghost. For many weeks, her dreams were all she could talk about. The people and events in them, the fabulous lands she saw. She never understood they were her lands. The houses she visited just felt so familiar. The food she ate. In fact, she was always eating in her dreams. Milk and fruit and greens. And everything she dreamed herself eating, she searched for until it was found. She enlarged her garden. That's a excerpt from The Temple of My Familiar by Alice Walker. And so far, that was only page 56 and 57. So far, reading this book seems to be just understanding that, like, I feel like one, it's just so far, it talks about our past lives, our ancestors, the people who walked these lands before us in such a present way. There's one character in this book. Well, I guess I'll just talk about this passage. The person that's narrating in these 2 pages, her name is Lissie, and Lissie means the one who remembers all. And in this part of the book, she's talking about how when she was younger, she remembered being so confused about the way Black people's life was, but specifically how the Black people around her life was on the outer islands of South Carolina, which we know today, or people know today, as like the Gullah Geechee culture and islands in South Carolina. And she's talking about how in previous pages before this one, she mentions how babies come into this world and older people, or even now, there's this delusion that babies have no memories or have no connections to anything before them. And she believes that's a lie. And in fact, she's the type of person who remembers her past lives, who remembers the people that she was before her present lifetime that she's narrating from in these pages. And she's just talking in a way that's like, Black people are more than this. We are more in this page. She's like, we are more than eating pig slop and cornbread and greasy food every day. We do eat fruit. We do eat greens. Like, we are vegetarian, we are vegan, we are all of these. We eat fish though too. But basically she's just like talking about this specific passage, is talking about the diet and the neglect surrounding these people's diets and nutrients that they're intaking. Like, they're eating all of this poor leftover food from, like, this basically discarded food, because That's what they're allowed to eat. But then it took a white woman to come and see children falling asleep in the classroom to decide that, oh, these children and the people on this island deserve better. And she, in the end, which is why I decided to read it, she talks about how literally, and I was just talking about this to my friend Erica today too. We were talking about fast food. We were just saying that like it's not cheaper to eat fast food. Like there's this misconception, especially now as prices are rising in grocery stores and food accessibility is getting really hard. There's this like agenda being pushed that fast food is the easiest, most convenient, and better choice for you, or eating out in general, right? And she was just saying like that's such a lie. Like I've never, like her eating at home has just been so good for her. And I remember when I had to make the decision to like no longer eat fast food. I still eat out sometimes, but like I don't eat fast food. Like if I'm eating out, I'm eating at like a restaurant. Besides the point. But I remember that feeling of like taking what I feed my body and put into my body into my own hands, literally, like by cooking more or even buying my own groceries. But I was just telling her like there's so many levels to it, because once you get past the point of realizing that the fast food that you're putting in your body is making you sluggish and tired, and you're wondering why it's so easy for you to clock into your 9 to 5, come home, eat some fast food, get on your phone, watch TikTok and fall asleep. You have no time for hobbies, no time for friends, no time for community. It's all because like of what you're feeding your body physically, mentally, spiritually, right? And so I was just telling her like, yeah, when you feed your body and take care of your body, you just have so much more energy to do your work, to do the work that you were meant to do in this lifetime. Right. And so at the end of this passage, she's talking about how once the island is starting to get the fruits, the greens, and the produce and whatnot, her mom is starting to remember her dreams. Her mom is remembering herself. Like her mom is thinking about the times where it's so funny because dreams are so interesting. Like they can be so vivid. And you're like, I've never been here before, but it feels so familiar. Her mom is remembering who she was before her current lifetime. And lately, I've been having a lot of conversations about like remembering who we are as Black people, remembering where we really come from. And in these conversations, I keep having this thought of like, how the fuck did we get to the point where we forgot? How could we forget that we were kings and queens? How could we forget that we knew how to work the land and that the land gave to us and we gave to the land? How did we forget all of these things? Forget these things. But then you read stuff and you realize things like, oh, they're controlling the food that we eat. The food that we eat is bullshit. The food that we eat makes us feel like bullshit, makes us think like bullshit, makes us talk like bullshit. Like, it's all so interesting, I guess is all I want to say. But yeah, I just wanted to read that because I found that very interesting. And I actually lost this book, or I didn't lose it, but I left it at my boyfriend's house after my first pickup, because I remember reading it for the first and I was like just so confused. But like as I'm reading it now, in the mindset that I'm in, I'm like, okay, I did have to put it down for a while, but now I'm reading it again and I'm understanding it in a way that like, I don't know, I literally just watched a video of Aja Monet talking about sometimes the books you pick up are actually calling to you versus you calling for them. And I feel like this is a book that I'm picking up right now that's definitely calling to me and opening my mind and my spirit and my heart up to different things. And so, yeah, I recommend reading Alice Walker, The Temple of My Familiar.